Hello and welcome back to my Valentino Bay city build series on Cities Skylines 1. It's been a while since my last episode, my job got insanely busy, I went on holiday and then I got COVID, so I haven't really had a moment to think about playing this for a while, but I'm really excited to get stuck back into it. Before we go any further, I just want to take a moment to talk about what's going on in Gaza right now. I haven't been using this platform very much since the invasion started, and even though I've been talking about it on all of my other platforms, I don't feel as though I can ignore it on here. I would urge you all to check out Operation Olive Branch on TikTok and the Pass the Hat initiative set up by Erin Hattemer. Operation Olive Branch has a spreadsheet with hundreds of GoFundMes so that you can send money directly to families who need it. I'm also donating to Medical Aid for Palestinians through my shop. At the end of every month, I donate 10% of all the proceeds from my website. Even if you can't donate any money, spreading the word is better than nothing. And all of the small amounts that people are donating are adding up to hundreds of thousands of pounds for people in dire need of help. As a collective, we have more power than we think we do, and the more of us that stand with the people of Palestine and put pressure on our own governments to stop supporting Israel's actions, the more likely we're going to be able to put an end to this. In the last episode, we built this education and healthcare block near the entrance to the town. It features an elementary school, a high school, a public library, and a children's healthcare centre. And by combining the assets with parks, we've been able to put a unique spin on some of these vanilla and custom assets. Since filming the last episode, I've added a few houses to the outskirts of the town. I've added a sort of dense forest around the perimeter of the town and put in some gravel roads leading into the trees. These houses have much more of a rural feel than some of the ones closer to the town, but I didn't want to encroach too far on the land to the east of this because I want to save that for another build. So this rural town is pretty much complete now, so today's episode is going to be focused on a district very far away from this one. So here's an overhead of Valentino Bay. The district we've been working on so far is very far off to the west, and today we're going to be moving to the east side. In preparation for future builds, I'm going to be building a cargo train station and mini business park near this intersection up here. The existing tracks will allow trains to travel between both of the cargo stations, and should be able to get goods to places nearby pretty quickly. While I was preparing the map for this build series, I did already put a cargo station in and the beginning of the business park, so I'm going to be amending this and turning it into a fully functioning station. I'm going to be using lots of assets from the workshop, along with some items from the Railroads of Japan DLC. This build is going to be split up into 2 different episodes, because I am the queen of giving myself too much to do, and rushing through things and not doing them properly. So in this episode, we're going to be focusing on the tracks. I added in this loop here so that cargo trains wouldn't be stopping on the main line, and I'm also going to be adding in some additional tracks that are both functional and decorative. Let me get stuck into the first part of this build. Okay, so this is the basic design for the rail yard. The bypass lane is still going through on the top, but the cargo lane has split out into quite a few different tracks, and as you will have probably noticed, not all of them are functional, but this has got a purpose. I've used these 2 assets here to create these faux rail yards. They've got containers lining each side of the track, and this one is more of a terminal point. Obviously trains will never pull into here, but I'm going to use some props to make it look like there are some stationed here waiting to be collected. There's also another non-functional line back here between the cargo station and the cargo bypass loop. Again, I'm going to be using some props to make it look like there's some trains waiting to be picked up. I'm also going to be filling in these gaps with some parking and other industrial props and adding more props to these rail yards. There's also going to be a fence that separates the passenger train line from the cargo one, and there's going to be some detailing on this side of the track too. So let me get stuck back into it. And here's the final piece. I enjoyed building this rail yard a lot more than I thought I would. From previous builds, I know that I really love the industrial side, but I've never tried to build a proper cargo station like this. I've always just kind of put them in the town and let them get on with it, and I never really did much detailing. But I think this looks pretty good, so let me give you a tour. Down here is one of the fake depots. I built 3 trains to sit on the tracks out of props. These were all from the workshop. And I also added in a few decals around the site to make it look all broken up, and some more containers at the end just to fill in this empty gap. I added some parking as well because I've got realistic parking turned on with TMPE, which I haven't really used before. So I'm going to be testing it out with this Let's Play, so I thought I'd get ahead of myself and put some parking spaces in. Over here are some parking lots from the Railroads of Japan DLC, and I've created a kind of fake driveway down here with some ground decals and put a van at the end of it as if it's about to be loaded up. I wanted to make it look like this gets driven on over and over and over again because this space was very long and very thin and I wasn't quite sure what to do with it otherwise. I added in some cranes over the train tracks in some places. I know that some train buff is probably going to tell me that none of this is realistic and that train yards wouldn't actually look like this and everything's in the wrong place, but I really couldn't give less of a shit. So if you feel the need to leave a comment like that, please know that I will not be listening. Down here there's some workers' huts and a few vehicles that I imagine they would leave there parked when they're not using them. And there's also a bunch of containers because this was quite a big open space, and this is on a diagonal when it comes to the surface painter. And luckily through Reddit I found that someone's redone the concrete blocks that went missing from the workshop a few months ago. From what I've read, the original creator's account was hacked and all of their stuff was removed from the workshop. It wasn't their choice at all, but luckily someone stepped in and recreated them so that we can use them again to get straight lines. So I thought I'd work with the diagonal here just to taper it down to the track, and then across the back I've tried to make as straight of a line as possible, but it is a little bit jagged in some places. There's another couple of fake trains back here. I tried to use the same units at the end of each line to make it look like the engine would just come in and dock onto them and pull away, so you'll see these white ones repeating quite a bit. Obviously this train track isn't functional, so these won't be getting in the way of anything. Down the back here is just a bunch of containers and various industrial props. I didn't want it to look too repetitive, but at the end of the day it is a cargo yard and there's going to be a lot of containers around, and ones in real life are a lot bigger than this, so I tried to keep it a little bit interesting going along here. I also added some parking spaces to this asset and some vehicles up the back and the cranes over the tracks once again. This is technically a park, so it won't function as anything to do with industry, so people will come as tourists, but I don't think the tourist draw is that high. Much like with the other one, there's a lot of cracked floor decals, and I've tried to put them underneath the containers to make it look like they've sat there for a while and they're really heavy and they're damaging the road a bit. Same over here, there's some cracks underneath this big pile because I imagine this would be putting quite a lot of stress on the concrete. And there's another little fake road down here with a van. This is obviously really far away from the first district that we were working on, so people will be driving all the way over here to come and work at the cargo terminal. But I will be building more on this side of the map in the coming episodes so I can start getting workers from nearby towns. The next episode will be focused on the front of the cargo yard. We'll have some warehouses, some services, and a connection straight onto the highway. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. I had a lot of fun making this. I'm in the process of putting together a mods list so that you can see exactly what assets I'm using, so bear with me while I do that, but I'll try and answer questions in the comments if you want to know what specific assets are. Making a cargo terminal today has really reminded me how hard it is to get food and other aid into Gaza right now. They've basically shut off all of the routes into the strip, so prices for the remaining goods have skyrocketed. We're very lucky that we have instant access to everything that we need, even if we are financially struggling, because while we might be in a bit of a pinch, at least we have the privilege of going to a shop and buying the things we need when we have the money. Don't forget to check out Operation Olive Branch on TikTok, and please, if you can, donate to as many families in Gaza as possible. If you can't donate, sharing on your own platform or with people in real life will do more than enough to help. So check out my TikTok for more Cities Skylines content and news about the situation in Palestine. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.